Have you ever wondered why some people thrive in the face of difficulties while others crumble? The secret isn't luck or talent alone, it's their mindset. These achievers act as if everything will work out perfectly, and mysteriously, it often does. Today, I'll show you why this mental approach is the hidden key to success that most people never discover. Life is unpredictable. One moment you're making progress toward your goals, and the next obstacles appear out of nowhere. But what if I told you the way you react to these challenges determines your entire future? That's right. Your mental attitude when facing problems is more important than the problems themselves. Over the next few minutes, I'll share with you a powerful principle that has transformed countless lives throughout history. You'll discover why acting as if success is inevitable actually makes it more likely to happen. And I'll give you practical steps to apply this mindset to your own life immediately. This isn't about wishful thinking or ignoring reality. It's about understanding how your mindset shapes your perception, actions, and ultimately, your results. So let's explore why the world's most successful people habitually act as if everything always works out, and how you can too. Maybe you failed an important test, lost a job opportunity, or experienced rejection in a relationship. How did you respond? Most people immediately assume the worst. This always happens to me. Nothing ever works out. I'm just not meant to succeed. These statements might seem harmless, but they're actually programming your mind for failure. When you expect negative outcomes, your brain begins searching for evidence to support that belief. You start noticing every small setback while overlooking opportunity. Your body language changes, your voice lacks conviction, and people sense your doubt. Even worse, this negative expectation creates a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you believe something will go wrong, you make half-hearted attempts, give up at the first sign of difficulty, or avoid taking action altogether. Then when failure occurs, you say, "See, I knew this wouldn't work out," reinforcing the very belief that caused the failure. I've seen this destructive pattern ruin countless lives. People with tremendous potential remain stuck in mediocrity because they've convinced themselves success isn't possible for them. Their negative expectations create the very reality they fear. But there's a way out of this trap. The power of acting as if. There exists a principle so simple, yet so profound, that it has the power to reshape the very fabric of one's experience. It is the principle of acting as if everything always works out in your favor. This is not a call to blind optimism, nor is it an invitation to ignore reality. Rather, it is a disciplined approach to life, a conscious decision to move through the world with the unshakable belief that no matter what occurs, you will find a way to turn it to your advantage. Consider for a moment the weight of this idea. Most people live in a state of reaction, tossed about by circumstances, believing that their happiness, success, or peace of mind is determined by external forces. They wait for proof before they believe, for validation before they act. But the individual who understands this principle does not wait. They act first. They carry themselves as though success is inevitable, as though every setback is merely a stepping stone, and in doing so, they alter the very nature of their reality. Let us examine a scenario where two individuals face the same adversity, the loss of employment. The first person, governed by fear, immediately assumes the worst. They see this event as a catastrophe, a sign of impending ruin. Their thoughts spiral into despair, their actions reflect their inner turmoil, and their energy repels opportunity rather than attracting it. Interviews become ordeals. Networking feels futile, and every rejection confirms their belief that the world is against them. The second person, though encountering the same hardship, responds differently. They recognize the discomfort, the uncertainty, but they choose to act as if this event is part of a larger, benevolent design. They tell themselves, "This is happening for me, not to me." They approach their job search with calm assurance, knowing that the right opportunity will present itself. Their demeanor is one of quiet confidence, not desperation. They speak with conviction, not doubt. And because they expect success, they begin to notice openings they might have otherwise overlooked. An old contact who knows of an unadvertised position, a chance conversation that leads to an introduction, a sudden inspiration to pursue a path they had never before considered. The difference between these two individuals is not circumstance. It is mindset. One sees obstacles, the other sees opportunities. One is paralyzed by fear, the other is propelled by faith. And in time their realities diverge completely. Not because one was luckier, but because one understood the power of acting as if. This principle operates on a level deeper than mere positive thinking. It is not about repeating hollow affirmations while ignoring reality. It is about embodying the belief so fully that your actions, your speech, and your very presence align with it. When you do this, something remarkable happens. The world begins to respond in kind. People are drawn to those who carry themselves with assurance. Opportunities seem to materialize where none existed before. Solutions appear where once there were only problems. Why does this happen? Because the mind is a powerful filter. It is constantly scanning the environment, but it does not see everything. It sees what it has been conditioned to see. If you believe the world is hostile, you will notice every slight, every obstacle, every reason to despair. But if you believe the world is conspiring in your favor, you will begin to see evidence of that everywhere. The chance meeting, the timely idea, the unexpected favor. This is not magic. It is the natural consequence of focus. What you focus on expands. What you expect, you find. And what you act upon, you bring into being. The science behind the mindset. Behind this principle lies a truth grounded not in mysticism, but in the very workings of the human mind. There exists within the brain a mechanism, a silent gatekeeper, that determines what we notice and what we ignore. This mechanism filters the endless stream of information that floods our senses at every moment, allowing only that which aligns with our dominant thoughts to reach our conscious awareness. Think of it this way. The world is filled with more stimuli than any one person could possibly process. Colors, sounds, conversations, movements. If we were to take in all of it at once, we would be overwhelmed. So the mind, in its wisdom, filters. It decides what is important based on what we have told it to prioritize. And how do we tell it what to prioritize? Through our beliefs, our expectations, and our habitual thoughts. When a person adopts the mindset that everything works out, this filter begins to shift. It starts to highlight evidence that supports this belief. The individual may notice an article that sparks an idea, a conversation that offers a solution, a memory that provides clarity, things they might have overlooked before. Their mind becomes attuned to opportunity rather than obstruction, to possibility rather than limitation. This is why two people can walk through the same environment and come away with entirely different experiences. One sees only obstacles, the other sees pathways. One hears only rejection, the other detects opportunity in every word. It is not that their circumstances are different, it is that their filters are set to different frequencies. But the influence of this mindset does not stop at perception. It extends into action. A person who believes that everything will work out approaches challenges differently. They do not waste energy on panic or indecision. They move with purpose, testing solutions, adjusting course, persisting where others might give up. Their confidence is not arrogance. It is the quiet understanding that setbacks are temporary, that answers exist even if they are not yet visible. And here is where the true power of this principle reveals itself. The world responds to expectation. When you carry yourself with the assurance of someone who knows success is inevitable, people sense it. They are drawn to it. They want to be part of it. Doors open not because of luck, but because your energy invites them to. A man who acts as if he is destined for greatness commands a room without saying a word. A woman who moves with the certainty of one who knows she will succeed inspires others to believe in her vision. This is the science behind the mindset. It is not wishful thinking, it is the deliberate alignment of thought, belief, and action. It is the understanding that the mind shapes reality as much as reality shapes the mind. And when this principle is mastered, the individual becomes not a victim of circumstance, but the architect of their own destiny. The fascinating truth is this: reality is far more malleable than most suppose. Two individuals can experience the same event and interpret it in ways so different that their futures diverge completely. The optimist sees a lesson where the pessimist sees a failure. The believer finds a way where the doubter finds an excuse. And in time, their lives reflect these choices. Not because the world favored one over the other, but because one understood the power of acting as if. This is not merely philosophy. It is a law as real as gravity. Operate in accordance with it, and your life will transform. Ignore it, and you will remain at the mercy of chance. The choice, as always, is yours. Mastering your inner dialogue. The foundation of all lasting success, of all meaningful achievement, begins not in the outer world of action, but in the silent, unseen realm of thought. Within the mind of every person there exists a ceaseless conversation, a running commentary that shapes perception, dictates emotion, and ultimately determines the course of one's life. Most go through their days unaware of this inner dialogue, allowing it to run unchecked, like a ship drifting without a rudder. But the individual who wishes to master their destiny must first master this internal conversation, for it is here that the seeds of triumph or defeat are sown. Consider the power of thought. Every action, every decision, every response to circumstance originates in the mind. A man who constantly tells himself he is destined for failure will, without realizing it, arrange his entire life to confirm this belief. He will hesitate where he should act, retreat where he should advance, and interpret every setback as proof of his inadequacy. On the other hand, the woman who fills her mind with thoughts of confidence, of inevitable success, will find herself moving through the world with a different energy altogether. Opportunities will seem to appear where none existed before. People will respond to her differently. Solutions will present themselves as if by magic, though it is no magic at all, but simply the natural consequence of a mind attuned to possibility rather than limitation. The first step in mastering this inner dialogue is awareness. Most people are so accustomed to their habitual thoughts that they do not even recognize them as separate from reality. They believe their thoughts are facts rather than interpretations. A man loses his job and immediately thinks, "I am ruined." He does not pause to question this assumption, to consider that this event, though difficult, may contain within it the seeds of something greater. A woman faces rejection and concludes, "I am not good enough," never stopping to reflect that this rejection may be steering her toward a path better suited to her talents. To change one's life, one must first change one's thought. This is not a matter of empty affirmations or forced positivity. It is a disciplined practice of observation and redirection. When a negative thought arises, "This will never work," "I am not capable," "Things always go wrong for me," the wise individual does not suppress it or pretend it does not exist. Instead, they acknowledge it, then deliberately replace it with a thought more aligned with the truth they wish to create. They ask themselves, "How might this situation benefit me?" Or what opportunity is hidden within this challenge? This shift in questioning is profound. The mind is a problem-solving instrument, and it will work tirelessly to answer whatever questions we put to it. If we ask, "Why does this always happen to me?" the mind will supply reasons, reinforcing the belief in victimhood. But if we ask, "How can I use this to my advantage?" the mind will begin searching for solutions, for hidden pathways, for unexpected blessings. Consider the example of two business owners facing the same crisis, a sudden drop in sales. The first, governed by fear, immediately envisions disaster. His thoughts spiral into predictions of bankruptcy, of loss, of failure. These thoughts paralyze him. He cuts costs frantically, retreats from innovation, and projects desperation to his customers, only accelerating his decline. The second business owner, though equally concerned, directs his thoughts differently. He tells himself, "This is forcing me to evolve. There is an opportunity here if I can find it." His mind, now oriented toward solutions, begins to see possibilities, new markets, improved offerings, more efficient operations. He takes bold action where the first owner hesitates, and in time his business not only recovers but thrives. The difference between these two individuals is not circumstance, it is thought. One allowed his mind to dwell on fear, the other trained his mind to seek opportunity. Both faced the same challenge, but their inner dialogues led them to entirely different outcomes. The practice of mastering one's inner dialogue is not a one-time effort, but a lifelong discipline. Negative thoughts will arise, this is inevitable, but the individual who wishes to succeed must develop the habit of intercepting these thoughts and redirecting them toward more empowering narratives. Over time, this practice rewires the very structure of the mind. What was once a default toward doubt becomes a default toward faith. What was once a habit of seeing obstacles becomes a habit of seeing openings. This is the essence of true mental mastery. It is not about controlling every thought, but about choosing which thoughts to entertain and which to release. It is about recognizing that thoughts are not facts, but suggestions, and that we have the power to accept or reject them. When this truth is fully grasped, a man becomes the architect of his own destiny, for he understands that his outer world is but a reflection of his inner world. Taking bold action. Thought alone, no matter how powerful, is insufficient without action. The world rewards those who dare to move, who step forward with conviction, who act as if success is not merely possible but inevitable. There is a profound difference between the man who dreams and the man who acts upon his dreams. The first remains forever in the realm of possibility, while the second enters the realm of achievement. The principle of acting as if everything will work out is not a call to passivity, to sitting back and waiting for fate to deliver success. It is a call to bold, decisive action taken from a place of unshakable confidence. When a man truly believes in his ultimate success, he is willing to take risks that others avoid. He is willing to make that difficult phone call, to ask for that promotion, to invest in that venture, not because he is certain of the outcome, but because he knows that regardless of the immediate result, everything is conspiring in his favor. Consider the stories of history's greatest achievers. Did they succeed because they never faced setbacks? Because they never encountered failure? Absolutely not. They succeeded because they persisted where others gave up, because they saw every obstacle as a temporary detour rather than a dead end. The man who invented the electric light did not do so on his first attempt, nor his 100th, nor his 1,000th. When questioned about his repeated failures, he replied with a perspective that few possess. He had not failed. He had simply discovered countless ways that did not work. This mindset, the unshakable belief that success was inevitable, allowed him to continue where others would have abandoned the effort. This is the essence of taking bold action. It is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act despite it. It is the understanding that failure is not the opposite of success, but a necessary part of it. Every misstep, every rejection, every disappointment carries within it a lesson, a refinement, a redirection towards something great. The individual who internalizes this truth no longer fears failure, for he knows that even in what appears to be defeat, there is opportunity. Imagine two men seeking the same position. The first, though qualified, hesitates. He tells himself, "What if I'm not good enough? What if I embarrass myself?" His fear paralyzes him and he never applies. The second man, no more qualified than the first, tells himself, "I have nothing to lose. If I fail, I will learn something valuable." He applies, and though he does not secure the position, his boldness catches the attention of another employer, who offers him an even better opportunity. Which of these men was more skilled? It does not matter. What matters is that one acted while the other hesitated. The world rewards action, not intention. The same principle applies to every endeavor. The writer who submits his work despite rejection eventually finds publication. The entrepreneur who launches his venture despite uncertainty eventually finds success. The inventor who persists through countless failures eventually achieves his breakthrough. In each case, it was not superior talent that guaranteed victory, but superior persistence born from the belief that success was inevitable. When you truly embrace the mindset that everything works out in your favor, your relationship with action transforms. You no longer wait for perfect conditions, for guaranteed outcomes, for absolute certainty. You act now knowing that whatever the result, it will serve you. The promotion you did not receive leads you to start your own business. The relationship that ended clears the way for a more fulfilling partnership. The investment that failed teaches you the wisdom that later secures your fortune. This is not blind optimism. It is the recognition that life is not a straight path, but a winding road, and that what appears to be a setback is often a redirection towards something great. The man who understands this no longer fears taking bold action, for he knows that every step, whether it leads immediately to success or not, is part of a larger design. The most successful people in history have all faced adversity. What set them apart was not the absence of challenges, but the response to them. They acted boldly, not because they knew they would succeed, but because they knew that even if they failed, they would ultimately prevail. This is the power of combining the right mindset with decisive action. It is the alchemy that turns dreams into reality. When you internalize this truth, your entire approach to life shifts. You no longer see risk as something to avoid, but as something to embrace. You no longer fear failure, but welcome it as a teacher. You act not from desperation, but from confidence. The quiet assurance that everything is working out exactly as it should. And in doing so, you unlock a level of achievement that most never experience. Not because they lack ability, but because they lack the courage to act. The choice is yours. Will you hesitate, or will you act? Will you doubt, or will you believe? The path to greatness is open to all, but it is traveled only by those who dare to take the first step. Practical daily habits. There exists a truth known to all who have achieved greatness, yet unknown to those who wander through life without direction, that the foundation of all lasting success is built not in grand sweeping gestures, but in the quiet, consistent practice of daily habits. The mind is like a garden. What you plant in it will grow, what you nurture will flourish, and what you neglect will wither. To cultivate the unshakable belief that everything always works out in your favor, you must tend to this garden daily, with deliberate care and unwavering discipline. Begin each morning before the world has a chance to impress its chaos upon you. In those first sacred moments of consciousness, when the mind is most receptive, plant the seeds of your day. Before your feet touch the floor, before you speak your first word, take 60 seconds, no more, no less, to affirm silently to yourself that this day, no matter what it brings, is conspiring in your favor. Visualize your hours unfolding with grace, your interactions filled with purpose, your efforts met with success. See your long-term goals as already accomplished. Feel the satisfaction of their achievement, and carry this certainty with you as you rise. This simple practice, performed daily, will in time alter the very fabric of your reality, for it aligns your subconscious mind with the truth you wish to manifest. As the day unfolds, you will encounter both triumphs and trials. This is inevitable. Here lies the importance of the second habit, the deliberate practice of gratitude. Each evening, when the world grows quiet and you retreat to your private thoughts, reflect upon your day and identify 3 instances where things worked out in your favor. You may protest, but what of the day when nothing went right? I tell you, even on your darkest days, evidence of fortune exists if you train yourself to see it. The missed train that spared you from an accident, the harsh word that strengthened your resolve, the closed door that redirected your path towards something greater. By conditioning your mind to seek these proofs daily, you strengthen your belief in the benevolent unfolding of your life until it becomes unshakable. The third habit is perhaps the most transformative, the immediate reframing of setbacks. Most men see adversity and crumble, interpreting every obstacle as confirmation of their fears. But you must train yourself to respond differently. When disappointment comes, and it will, let your first thought be, how is this benefiting me? What opportunity lies hidden here? This is not mere positive thinking. It is strategic reorientation of your mental faculties towards solutions rather than complaints. The businessman who loses his largest client may initially despair, or he may ask himself this question and realize the loss forces him to diversify his offerings, ultimately making his enterprise stronger. The habit of reframing is the habit of alchemy, turning lead into gold, obstacles into opportunities. Now consider your environment, for no man grows against the constant pull of negativity. The fourth habit demands you audit the company you keep. Surround yourself with those who share your mindset, whose very presence reinforces your belief in favorable outcomes. Distance yourself from chronic pessimists, from those who traffic in complaint and limitation, for their words are poison to ambition. You will find that in the company of believers, your own faith grows stronger. In the presence of those who see opportunity everywhere, your own vision sharpens. This is not happenstance. It is the natural consequence of association. The fifth habit requires you study the lives of those who have walked this path before you. Read not for entertainment, but for revelation. In the biographies of great men and women, you will find a common thread, the unshakable conviction that despite all apparent setbacks, they would ultimately prevail. Notice how often their greatest failures preceded their most spectacular successes. Observe how they interpreted obstacles not as final judgments, but as necessary steps in their education. Let their stories seep into your consciousness until their mindset becomes your own. Finally, and most crucially, You must marry this mindset to daily action. Belief without effort is fantasy. Each day, no matter how small the step, take concrete action toward your goals from a place of certainty, not doubt. The man who believes he will succeed invests in his education, networks with purpose, and refines his craft daily, not because he knows the exact outcome, but because he knows persistent effort aligned with faith cannot fail. Small actions compounded daily create momentum that soon becomes unstoppable. These 6 habits, morning affirmation, evening gratitude, immediate reframing, selective association, biographical study, and daily action, form the practical foundation of the everything works out mindset. Perform them consistently, and you will find your life transforming not by chance, but by law. The transformation of character. When a man adopts the mindset that everything works out in his favor, something remarkable occurs, a metamorphosis not just of circumstance, but of character itself. External achievements, wealth, recognition, success are but the visible fruits of this transformation. The true miracle lies in what happens within the forging of a soul tempered by unshakable faith, resilient against adversity, and at peace regardless of circumstance. Consider first the development of resilience. Most men are fragile creatures, shattered by the first serious blow life delivers. Why? Because they interpret difficulty as proof of defeat. But the man who believes everything works out views challenges differently, as temporary tests designed to strengthen him. Where others see a storm to be feared, he sees rain nurturing future growth. This perspective transforms suffering into purpose, making him impervious to the discouragement that breaks ordinary men. The entrepreneur who fails 3 times but persists, knowing success is inevitable, embodies this quality. His resilience isn't stoic endurance, it's the joyful certainty that every setback is sculpting him for greater things. Patience, that rarest of virtues in our hurried age, blossoms naturally from this mindset. The average man grasps desperately for immediate results, his anxiety betraying his lack of faith. But the man who knows everything works out moves differently. He acts with diligence, yet without frenzy, understanding that timing is as important as effort. He prepares the ground, plants the seeds, and trusts the harvest will come, not by his forcing, but by nature's perfect schedule. This patience isn't passive waiting, it's active trust in processes beyond his immediate control. The student who studies methodically for years without recognition, only to emerge a master, understands this truth. Then comes happiness, not the fleeting kind dependent on external events, but the profound contentment that persists regardless of circumstance. Most people chain their joy to outcomes. I'll be happy when I get the promotion, when I find love, when I achieve success. Their well-being dangles precariously on the hook of happenstance. But the man who believes everything works out carries happiness within him like an unquenchable flame. His joy stems not from what happens to him, but from his unshakable knowing that all events serve his ultimate good. This is freedom in its purest form. Observe such a man during crisis, and you'll witness his most inspiring quality, the effortless way he lifts others. While those around him panic, he remains calm. Where others see disaster, he points to possibility. His very presence becomes a beacon, not because he preaches, but because he embodies a better way to live. Leaders of this caliber don't manufacture charisma, it radiates naturally from their fundamental worldview. People follow them not by coercion, but because their light is irresistible in a world of darkness. Perhaps the greatest liberation comes from the shedding of words. Most people spend their finest mental energy agonizing over what might go wrong, as if anxiety could prevent misfortune. The man who knows everything works out wastes no energy on such futility. He plans prudently, acts decisively, then releases attachment to outcome. What is there to fear when every outcome serves him? Even death loses its sting, for he views it not as an end, but as a transition he cannot yet understand. This isn't recklessness. It's the profound peace that comes from absolute trust in life's benevolent unfolding. I have witnessed this transformation in the businessman who faced ruin with such faith that he uncovered hidden opportunities within his apparent failure, ultimately building an enterprise greater than his first. I've seen it in the student whose repeated academic struggles became the crucible that forged his innovative thinking, leading to breakthroughs others with easier paths never achieved. Most movingly, I've observed it in those facing health crises who, by refusing to accept pessimistic prognosis and maintaining unwavering belief in recovery, achieved outcomes that baffled medical experts. The common thread in all these stories isn't luck or privilege, it's the conscious decision to act as if success was inevitable regardless of temporary appearances. In doing so, these individuals didn't just change their circumstances, they transformed their very beings. They became living proof of a fundamental truth, that our outer world inevitably reflects our inner convictions. This is the ultimate gift of the everything works out mindset. Yes, it brings material success, but more importantly, it forges men and women of rare character, resilient yet patient, joyful yet serene, humble yet inspiring. They walk through life not as victims of circumstance, but as conscious co-creators of their destiny. Their lives become not just successful, but significant, not just prosperous, but profound. And in the end, when all accounts are tallied, isn't this the true measure of a life well lived? The choice, as always, is yours. Will you remain at the mercy of appearances, or will you adopt the mindset that transforms not just what you achieve, but who you become? The path is open to all, but traveled only by those with courage to believe. We've covered a lot of ground today, exploring why acting as if everything always works out is such a powerful approach to life. We've seen how our expectations shape our perception, how our mindset influences our actions, and how this principle has transformed countless lives throughout history. The beauty of this approach is that you can begin applying it immediately. You don't need special qualifications, resources, or circumstances. You simply need to make the decision right now to approach every situation with the unshakable belief that it's working out perfectly for you. Will you face challenges? Absolutely. Will there be times when success seems impossible? Without question. But when you maintain this mindset through those difficult moments, you'll discover resources within yourself you never knew existed. Remember, this isn't about ignoring problems or living in fantasy. It's about approaching reality from the most empowering perspective possible, the perspective that has guided history's greatest achievers through their darkest moments. So starting today, act as if everything always works out in your favor. Watch how your perception shifts, how opportunities appear, and how your entire life transforms as a result.